All right, y'all. Welcome back to the Who's Right podcast. I'm here with Victor and I'm Franklin, and I just wanted to welcome everybody. I hope everybody had a great Merry Christmas and enjoyed their time, with friends, family, or however you celebrate it. But before we get started, Victor, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm had a good Christmas, got some good food in me, spent some time with family, and it was kind of like tainted a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. From the start, before we even I right after we got off the podcast last week, we heard the news that kind of set the tone for the weekend. But luckily Christmas was ahead and I could look past that.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it anymore. Let's talk about it and then move on pretty quickly. But yeah, Yamamoto to LA just a couple days ago. He had his press conference in LA, and it came out that it didn't matter what anybody offered. He was probably gonna go to LA regardless. And to me, I don't care that he went to LA. Doesn't bother me that he went to LA. He's a risk regardless because he hasn't pitched the MLB. But I wanted him, so I'm not gonna lie to you. I wanted him, so I'm not gonna here and say that I didn't. But the fact that he asked for a second meeting with us, that's what's bothering me. I
He
don't
played the
care
game.
about anything else. I don't care about him signing. I don't care about him using us. Why ask for a second meeting? You think you're not going to get 300 million
That's how
without
you
a
play the
second
game.
meeting?
Yeah. No, that's how you play the game. He did the classic move that you see these vets pull in the off season where they're big acquisitions, so they start talking to multiple teams when in the end they know where they wanted to go. You see this happen all the time, and the Mets just kind of bought into it, and we all bought into it. We bought into the dream of having Yamamoto, but it is what it is, I'm not going to be that guy to go off and say like, oh yeah, we dodged a bullet here. We don't need Yamamoto, and we're going to do just fine without him. No, we would have had a great time with Yamamoto in New York, and so. But I will say, there's still hope for the Mets. It's not all over just because we didn't get Yamamoto. I wasn't even the biggest fan of getting him to
No,
in the first place.
no, and you turned out to be right. There was a limit, right? Because I said we got to blow him out the water, 400 million. But at the end of the day, it didn't really matter. You know, we offered 325. They went back to LA. Hey, can you match it? That was it. There was no back and forth. And again, his prerogative. I don't care. It's not about. I mean, I do care, but it's not about him not coming to the Mets. Because even as a Yankee fan, I'll be upset. He asked
Well,
for a
the
second meeting
Yankees,
too with the Yankees. It's
yeah,
not just the Mets. It's the second meeting. What was the point of having a second meeting? We were the only two teams that had a second meeting with him, right?
well,
Yankees and the Mets had that second meeting. Only us. What's the point? You don't think we were going to offer 300 million regardless? We're going to offer 300 million regardless. It doesn't matter. So
yeah,
why
I'm not.
have that second meeting? Why waste our time? Why
Yeah,
waste our time waiting for his response? You know what I'm saying? Not even, let me tell you, we waited a whole week. This could have been done in 2 days. He was still going to get 300 million regardless. It doesn't matter that he waited days to do it. This game is stupid because he was going to get it regardless.
you think that uh the Dodgers would have gone up to 325 before even talking to seeing if the Mets would have made the same offer?
The agent put out there had to be 300 million, right? So we said we're going to do 325. And what did his agent do? Go to LA and say, "Hey, can you match it?" You couldn't have done that in 2 days. You couldn't have done that 2 days after Shohei Ohtani signed? We didn't
I
need a
think,
second
yeah.
meeting.
I don't know because he didn't even ask for. He asked them not to share a bid just yet in the first meeting, right? And so they didn't get the bid in, and maybe he was trying to meet with them so that they can officially get that number that they were talking about, and maybe that's all it was. And we turned it into something that was, you know,
Let me
that
tell
it
you,
wasn't.
I don't
But
like Boris, right? Because I think Boris tries to play the same game. But at the end of the day, this time last year, he called Cohen up and said, "You want Correa because the Giants deal is going to fall through," right? We didn't need to do the song and pony show. We didn't need to do this dance about the
yeah,
second meeting. I'm not going to say about the first meeting. We played our cards. We went to Japan, and regardless, it wasn't going to work out. But that's not the point. My issue is not that he went to LA. I don't care. Well, I do care, but it's not that he went to LA. My issue is the second meeting. Why waste our time? Why waste a week? Right? This whole market is stood up by Shohei and Yamamoto. Okay, I understand Shohei. Shohei's trying to get 700 million. After Shohei got 700 million, Yamamoto all he had to do was say, "Hey, we're not signing less than 300," just like he did. We didn't need a second meeting for that. We didn't need to wait a week for that.
yeah. No, and I'm with you. I was all for let's move on. I wasn't hung up on Yamamoto because at this point I was like he's just we all knew at the beginning we said he was trying to play the game, and that's what he ended up doing. He ended up playing the Mets and the Yankees and just getting their best number out there so that the Dodgers could match. And you know what? It's kind of stinks because this isn't going to be the last time that it happens with the Mets either, because the Mets have, or Steve Cohen rather, has built up a reputation that he's going to try to be the highest bidder at every meeting or every free agent that he's involved in. And if there's another player that sees this and they already know they're going to another team, but they feel like they can get a good bargain out of Steve Cohen, then I wouldn't be surprised because he's dropped so much money since he's become owner. But at the end of the day, like I said, we have to move on. It wasn't the end of the day. We had in our last episode already talked about some of the potential fits for the Mets, and there's still some of those guys out there. Actually, all of them are still out there. It hasn't exactly been a fire sale since Yamamoto signed, but now I want to see them go sign Shota Imanaga. I want to see them get into talks with Jordan Montgomery. I want to see a pitcher sign this offseason because just because we didn't get Yamamoto doesn't mean we're going to just give up on this year or in our future as well. So what pitchers do you like out of the free agents that are still out there or not?
Well, I mean, as you saw the report, you're right. It's over. Again, you guys can comment and let me know what you think. First, the second meeting is all that's in my heart. You let me know what you think. Put in the comments and who's right. But the pitchers that I want to kind of go after is actually the guy that they're actually talking to, Lucas Giolito, 1 year contract, and see what we got. Because at the end of the day, the big fish are next year. This year was Yamamoto or bust, and I still hold on to that. I don't want any long-term deals on any pitchers, and maybe Managa, maybe, I wouldn't be opposed to that. But everybody else, Montgomery can go. I'm not looking to have a long-term deal with Montgomery. Snell, no way, hell no. I don't trust him one bit. He might have all the stats and look pretty and blah 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 and get out of jams. In New York, he's gonna be
He's gonna
whatever.
he's gonna fold.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's gonna fold. So I don't want him. But Lucas Giolito or make a trade. I'm all for making a trade. I'd rather see a trade, to be honest with you. Because again, I still would like to see McNeil traded for one of these pitchers. I'm still talking about that. That's what I'm wanting. A young, controllable pitcher. Maybe a Dylan Cease, even if it's just 2 years. Dylan Cease, or any of these other pitchers that have been named. Who knows who's available? They might not be available. I know Cease is available, but I don't know what the asking price. But I honestly would rather see Dylan Cease than Giolito, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
That's the guy that I would rather see. But as far as free agents, um, I like to look going after Lucas Giolito. I like to see that happen because if you look at his numbers, they are bad until he got traded. Then when he got traded, that's when it kind of fell apart for him. And some guys don't do well in trades, right? They get traded. Some guys don't do well. They don't like the change. They don't like the change of scenery. Um, you know, just like that. Especially if you're not expecting to be traded. And I don't think, kind of Tommy Pham was talking about that this year. That there's years in the past where he knew that he was going to get traded, and this year when he got traded, it didn't feel good because he wasn't expecting it. Because everybody was expecting the Mets to at least compete. And I think those guys in the White Sox locker room were expecting the White Sox to compete, right? So sometimes you don't do well with change, and I think that's what affected Lucas Giolito. So I think we sign him to a 1 year bounce back deal, see what he's got. And if and whatever happens, happens after that. Maybe an option. What do you think?
Yeah, and I like Giolito, but only if we sign him for a 1 year deal. I don't want to see a long term deal with not that I don't trust him down the line, but he's up there, and well, he's 29, so he's still got life on him, but I just don't trust him yet. And I would like to just see, like we're doing with Severino, like we're doing with a lot of the guys on our squad this year. We're gonna try them out and see how they do, and hoping that they're the pitchers um, that they can pitch to. And that's just a testament to what the Mets are trying to build. They're trying to build that system that continues to build kind of used goods, and seeing if they can transform them. Sort of like what you see in Tampa Bay, where they acquire players for nothing, and then turn them into an all-star. And so I like this move by the Mets, and if they were to pick up a Giolito, I wouldn't be mad. But imagine if we do trade McNeil for Dylan Cease, and we throw a package together that gets Luis Robert over here too. That would
Dude,
be insane.
stop talking about it because Luis Robert's my guy. That's the guy I want. It'll answer so many things. Not only are we going to get the pitcher, but it'll answer moving Nimmo to left, putting Robert in center. It'll answer all the questions. All the questions.
You don't have to go pick up a Soler. You don't have to pick up an extra utility guy to play the field. This might be the Mets' key to the offseason. I know you said it was Yamamoto, but if they were to pull off a trade like that, it would answer all the questions that we'd have. So that's just dreaming. I don't know how that would be possible. But like you said, the White Sox are starting to tear down, and they might be in the talks for trading a lot of their guys. I don't know what happened over there. They seemed like they were having such a good um, team. They had a good team built, and then it just kind of fell apart. But you know, I'd still like to see Shote Minaga, but I just found out that he only pitches like at a low 90 for his fastball, and that's kind of the lowest point you can get to with the fastball. And so I don't know if he's going to be the same pitcher that uh, Kodai Senga is or has turned out to be, just because I don't think he has the same stuff. And we're looking at that similar deal with Shota Minaga. And so at that point, I think he gets a little too expensive. And you know, if we were able to sign a pitcher like Giolito to a 1 year deal, then that would be great. And you know what? As much as you hate Snell, I'm not going to rule out him coming here. I wouldn't love to see it because he's going to be way too expensive. But if he pitches for us, he's going to give me a heart attack. But it's filling a role that we need in the Mets. And if we don't have to pay, because honestly, he's being tossed around like a used pair of goods too. Like no one's really. It doesn't seem like anyone's really interested in paying him as much money as he wants, and so he might come at a cheap price. Who knows? And if he does come cheap enough, then he's only 30. I could root for him for the next 5 years. Say.
No, no, no. This is another time, guys, where you can comment and let me know who's right. Snell, yay, nay. Me, it's a nay. I don't want him. I don't trust him. And at the end of the day, I don't want a long-term deal with a pitcher like that because, you know, again, he's a Boris client. You know, he might not have um, the the deal right now, but Boris is going to hold out. He's going to hold out until he gets his contract. And, it might not move right away, but I think Snell will be one of those guys that gets his deal. And I'm not willing to pay for it, you know. So uh, go on, go to San Francisco, go somewhere west, go to the Yankees. I want to see you in the Yankees. I would love to see that.
Yeah, and they seem like more serious players than the Mets do because they're desperate win now teams. Well, the Giants not so much, but the Yankees, they need another pitcher in that rotation, and they obviously already have an ace there in Garrett Cole, but I could see them picking up Blake Snell and him, playing second fiddle for a championship for a run at a championship, and so who knows? The Yankees might swoop in there and get him,
It
but
might be.
yeah.
It might happen because at the end of the day, we got a playbook. We gotta compete with LA. LA's got right now. They got Yamamoto. They got Glass now. Bobby Miller. I mean, that's a rotation. And so everybody's going to be going after a whole bunch of pitchers. We're done with the years of people saying that they can get away with one or two pitchers. LA's not saying that. LA's saying we're putting together a rotation to stop anybody's pitching. And so the day of the pitchers is back. And pitching is going to be a premium. I think teams are going to start developing pitching a lot better, especially with pitching labs going up left and right. So we're going to get to see pitching again. I used to love seeing. I mean, not too long ago, we as Met fans, we love seeing DeGrom on the mound. Matt Harvey, Syndergaard. As Met fans, we love pitching, and so we're LA saying we do too, and they're gonna put a rotation out there, and so everybody's gonna be competing to now put a super rotation together. Because at the end of the day, they don't have a lineup. They have a good lineup. They have a very decent lineup, but they don't. They have holes, just like everybody else does. Where they don't have a lot of holes in the rotation.
Yeah, well, they still have a lot of injuries on their team, and so it'll be a interesting start for the Dodgers. But they're definitely going after that pitching powerhouse. But also they've got bats on their team too, and so that's what makes them scary. They really are the new evil empire until proven otherwise. But we'll see if they can win as much as the Yankees did when they were that evil empire that we hated so much. And I hope not. It'd be so funny if they picked up all these. If they spent $1 billion this offseason and then didn't go and win a championship for the next, at least 3 years, I would say.
And that's another point. They spend $1 billion, and they're not done. We spent half that last year, and the Mets are ruining the sport.
Yeah. And what did we
But
talk about in our first episode of the Friends of the NL East? It's that Dodger bias, man. They always have that Dodgers are can't do no wrong mindset because they bring in the dollars, and, so that's all that matters to the MLB, it seems. But uh, at the end of the day, yeah, because they're getting a whole bunch of money on luxury tax too, right? And so, at the end of the day, they what do they care? It's just the Mets can't seem to do anything right is all that matters to the MLB. But enough on that. It'd be great to see the Mets pick up a pitcher this offseason. If I'd rather see it in the trade market, but who knows? We'll see how that goes. But what else do you think we need in terms of like bats? Who would you like for us to go out and see and kind of get a look at some of these guys that are in the free agent class right now?
well, I'm not going to have the popular opinion here. I know everybody's talking about Justin Turner, JD Martinez. I don't want none of them. I don't want, we don't need a stopgap. Let the kids play. If we're gonna not be the team that we were expecting to be because we didn't get Yamamoto, let the kids play. We I don't need no guy that may or may not be done. You know what I mean? We don't know until he hits the field. We're talking about these guys like they're 35-year-olds that are still competing, and we don't know that that's the case. And this could be the year that it all falls apart, and we gave a 1-year deal and not seeing the young kids play because that's the point. It's the point is that they're going to be playing and they're going to be given a chance and not giving the young guys a chance when this is not the year that we're going to be going for a World Series.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It feels like we're finally agreeing on something. I've been saying it from the beginning. We don't need any other bats this year. Well, we do need another bat in left field because we kind of gave up Mark Hanna and Tommy Pham to play out there. But as far as it goes with the positions that the Mets are looking to try to fill with third base, let Mark Vientos and Brett Beatty play. I said it. I've said it before. We've this year was an anomaly, and it seemed like the whole Mets lineup career, except Lindor, he had and Pete. They both had great years, but it just seemed like we couldn't put it all together. Brett Beatty is usually a great third baseman. A lot of people like to joke that he's like a 4A kind of bat, where he's too good for AAA, but not quite good enough for the majors. But I think he's there. We saw a little bit when he first got called up in 2022. When we were playing the Braves, he showed up, and I believe that if we give him the shot to play every day, to maybe even just share the spot. If we're looking for a DH, I think that place that position can move around a lot with giving some of the guys a break. But and part of that being Mark Vientos playing that spot too. But at third base, we've got that filled. And talking about Justin Turner, I would rather see them stay with what they got and let the kids play. But I bring it back to I'll bring this back and wrap this up with saying I kind of dismissed him at first, but seeing how good Jorge Soler is and kind of how he might fit this roster, that's one of the bats that I wouldn't mind seeing the Mets go and get this offseason in the
Well,
free agent class.
that's a name that I can get on board with because he's not 40 years old. I'm gonna
Yeah.
let that sit there right there. I'm gonna just let that sit. He's not 40 years old. You know what I mean? Even Nelson Cruz, every year Nelson Cruz was given a chance and until he was done. And I don't want to be the team that JD Martinez and Justin Turner get on and he's done. You know what I mean? I don't want to see that. Now, if you say Soler, I can get on board with that. You know what I mean? That's a guy that he's gonna hit some bombs, and he's a good DH. He might not be able to play the field, but if you throw him out there every once in the blue moon just to get some guys some rest, in the regular season, that's not going to be a big deal. You know what I mean? And so that's a name that I can get behind because at the end of the day, I'm talking about kids. We got kids that we expect, as far as what I'm hearing, that the Mets expect to be making some noise. At least Drew Gilbert. Drew
Yeah.
Gilbert, they're expecting to make some noise and come up. And so if we don't get my dream guy in Robert, we could see Drew Gilbert up this year. And if we sign somebody that really isn't going to be the future for us, for the sake of quote unquote competing to block a Drew Gilbert instead of seeing Drew Gilbert play, I don't want to see it. I don't want it.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. It's kind of like where I was at last year with Francisco Alvarez. I didn't think that we needed to go pick up another catcher this year. I know or last year, and Omar Narvaez, because Francisco Alvarez was banging at the door, and he proved once Narvaez went down this year that he was ready for the major leagues, and he stayed there. Same thing with Brett Beatty. We didn't obviously go pick up third baseman this offseason, but they were talking about getting Carlos Correa to fill that role. And Eduardo Escobar didn't turn out this year, and Brett Beatty didn't perform to his best ability. But that doesn't mean he won't next year. And so getting these guys as replacement items and not giving the time for these kids to develop, I think could really hurt the Mets this year, especially if you think about the trade pieces that they could potentially be. I could see the Mets going this year, maybe not quite getting there, and by the time of the wild card, and then these kids have been kind of performing well, and we can get a good piece of prospects in return for guys that didn't get the chance to develop. And so that's what I'd like to see this year. The one guy you didn't mention was Luis Angel Acuna. He's also knocking at the door, and like I've said before, if we don't end up trading McNeil this year, throw him out and left. He can play the field, and we've seen him do it well. And you open up that second base for a guy like Luis Angel, who might be there a little faster than a Drew Gilbert type. But I'm all for that.
Well, but that's the point. This year we're not World Series or bust. We're not even guaranteeing a playoff appearance. So, I mean, there was a report out there that Mets are eyeing Gio Urshela. Why? We already signed Joey Wendell. We don't need another backup infielder. Let Vientos and Beatty battle it out, and see what happens. And like you said, Luis Angel is coming up, biting at the bit too. And if we need him at third base because McNeil's still on the team, throw him out there.
Yeah.
If Beatty or Vientos don't pan out. But at the end of the day, all these stopgap guys that we keep talking about, I know guys are wanting to see them because we need a major league lineup. Why?
Yeah, it's so crazy because you saw teams all over the league this year do it without going out and picking up these one-piece deals. The Reds almost made the playoffs this year. The Orioles were killer, and they barely had any all-stars on their team. And the guys that were all-stars were rookies, you know, and then need I say less? But or need I say more? Because at the end of the day, we're trying to develop a farm, and the way that you get a farm developed is by letting it rotate or cycle through, and giving these kids a chance to play in the major leagues and opening up spots for these younger guys to develop and come up and get playing time as well. And so I just say you keep it rolling. You're trying to develop a farm and and sustainable winning. And I don't think you do that by picking up one piece deals or one year deals to kind of patch yourself in until you're there, quote unquote, because we haven't even given ourselves a chance yet. And you said it. Fans will always be mad. They'll always be mad at what you didn't do or what you did do. And so at this point, just let baseball season come, and I feel like a lot of fans will be surprised with what the Mets are able to put out there this year.
Yeah, and one guy that a free agent that we haven't talked about is, worst case scenario that because we do need a left fielder, bring Tommy Pham back. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? I wouldn't mind that. He's gonna do a 1 year deal because at this point in his career, that's who he's going to be. He's a 1 year deal, maybe 2 year deal guy. But at the end of the day, the dude can play.
yeah, no, that's true. He's. I think we can attribute a lot of the Diamondbacks' success down the line to Tommy Pham. And so if we go out and pick him up, which I don't know if it would be such a great move after some of his comments last year, he might still have some of that tension with some of the guys in the locker room, depending on who he was talking about. But I think he definitely could fill that role. It's just dangerous because you talk about culture, and that's where the culture starts is in that locker room. And if the guys aren't meshing, then it could affect their play later on too. So
Well, at the end of the day, who he's talking about, it's not Nimmo, it's not Lindor, and it's not Alonso.
yes, McNeil is probably who he's talking about, and but I'm saying if we were able to trade McNeil out, then that's probably a good move for the Mets to make. Otherwise, then you'll have another 2021 season where people are yelling at each other in the dugout.
I don't see that happening just because the new coaching staff is going to want to um, um, have a little bit of order. But I agree with you. He was talking about McNeil. I think he was talking about McNeil, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I'm saying, we should train McNeil. Change the culture a little bit, change it up, change some pieces because the only way to create something is to make change is to change the pieces, and so I don't mind that, but I don't mind bringing Tommy Pham back even if McNeil don't like it. But guys, we're going to end it there. There's really not much going on. Again, guys, comment, subscribe, like this video, and again, we're not going to be here on Sunday. Happy New Year, everybody! Enjoy. Have a safe and happy New Year. Don't get too excited, but enjoy yourselves. And Victor, before we get out of here, what you got to say?
Yeah, I'm just gonna enjoy my new year. Because at the end of the day, all the players that we pick up now um, are kind of just unless we go out and sign a Blake Snell, then I'm not too worried about this next season. But Happy New Year, everybody! Uh, I'll see you next time. Let's go Mets.
All right, peeps. Hey, guys, Happy New Year. Let's go Mets.